Yes, that's right. We're here with another Big Brother Canada 10 check-in. It was an eviction episode here tonight on a very special St. Paddy's edition of Big Brother 10 and recap. I am your host, Jeff Mader of Super Mader Bros Podcasting, joined as always by the Moose-aholic Jaemeel Robinson. Jaemeel, how are
you
you?
say the name. Can I indulge myself again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Enough of that.
Yes, you are a fan of Moose. I don't know why. But at the same time, you know what? The episode wasn't about Moose tonight. Last episode was about Moose, but this episode was all about Josh and a little bit about Stephanie.
A little bit.
Where Stephanie was the one who went home tonight, and bad Big Brother player. Like, we just can put that out on a limb right now. She's too confident, Jaemeel.
You know what? It's not even the confidence. It's priorities. And seemingly, from a narrative standpoint of this episode, the priority for her was the dress. And she killed it with the dress.
It was a nice dress.
Congratulations. But she didn't win Big Brother.
Yeah. She was there to look good and not really, do a lot of strategizing. Her strategizing was her dress. And that doesn't win you Big Brother, unfortunately.
Nope.
But someone who did do well, I think, when the chips were down, was Josh. He might have been, this season's Kiefer. I don't have Dave's soundboard, but what was the thing? Oh, the big energy. Let's go. What is it?
The man with the mullet, big gullet, big heart. Let's go.
Let's go. And they're both Native American, I believe.
Yes.
So that kind of, or Native Canadian Aboriginal. Yeah, so I think they kind of have that in common, that they're able to scramble when the chips are down here and are able to save themselves when, it was a sure thing that they were the ones going home. Josh here, I think this whole house was, misread by Kyle in general and kind of Marty. And I think Marty, I'm kind of proud of him. He's pivoting well. I don't know what he's doing talking to Kevin at all. I'm confused by this relationship.
Isn't Kevin confusing in general?
He is. Like, what do you make of Kevin, Jaemeel? Like, what is?
When people have in their head that they want to play a certain way and they have this game plan outside of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Game plans outside the house, organizing your thoughts, great idea. But at the same time, like when you get in the house, you have to be able to switch things up on the fly. And I feel like he has this idea that I'm gonna lay low for the first couple of weeks, and then I'm pretend to be this person, and then I'm gonna reveal myself to be this masterful player. There's no need for that. You compare the difference between his version of a low-key game versus Josh. Right? Josh's version of a low-key game is taking the time, those interpersonal relationships. Don't seem shady, right? Be true to your word, instill trust. And Kevin is doing a good job with some people like Marty, for example. Mm-hmm. And Jess kind of sees through everything, so she thinks it's kind of like interesting. She thinks he's interesting, I think should be the most important thing about his facade. But like the other side of the house, like that whole interaction with Betty, like I was referring to yesterday, we saw the beginnings of it in this episode. That's not how you play Big Brother. That's not a winning game. From Kevin's perspective. Like Betty's a mess, but you don't lower your game to be with Betty.
No, like I think he in his head was trying to like control Betty, or like it was either that or he was trying to use Betty to like get the scent off of him as being this mastermind in his head or something. There's a lot going on there, but either way, I think Betty did the right thing, like getting away from Kevin, but she went about it the complete wrong way. Like she's a mess. You're right. Like she's very self-righteous, and very like confrontational. And none of those things really go together. I think in Big Brother, you need to kind of you need to swallow your ego at the door, and I don't get that from Betty. And I also didn't get that a lot from Stephanie. I think Stephanie had a really hard time not being in charge, not being the popular person, getting her way. She was appalled that she was even on the block, and then she was like, great, I'm not going home, and didn't even try. Like she she was it was kind of a joy to watch, but at the same time, you know it was like watching a train wreck. You're just like, I can't help but watch it, but at the same time you're like, oh. How did you feel about Stephanie's exit?
Like, once again, I'm gonna relate it back to Josh. Damn you. Josh was getting all the same confirmations that Steph was getting. But Josh did his due diligence to make sure, to put in work. And I think even the reaction when Jessica was in the room with Jason at Stephanie was extremely telling, that you would basically run someone out of the room, right? Not even to campaign to Stephanie, to Jace, who you technically quote unquote already had, but like, why would you run her out, regardless of how she feels? Like, if she feels that passionate about Josh, isn't that like, hey, I understand how you feel. Like, there was no workings, no kind of campaign, or like the weakest of excuses. Oh, do you think you're gonna beat Josh over me? It's like, that's not really excuse at the beginning of the game, right? We're not taking out big targets at the beginning of the game, because I know that if Stephanie got power, the unlikely scenario, she's not taking out anyone of power of note. She's not taking out Herman. She's not taking out Kyle. She's not taking out Gino. She's not taking out Josh, right?
Yeah.
She would probably put up Betty and Jessica, knowing her, or Kevin and Jessica.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Yes, but she really only it's like tonight proved it. She really only had two friends in the house, Gino and Jacey-Lynne, and they're the only two people who voted to keep her. And I think that kind of goes to show how she played the game. Like when she was like on the block, she was like, I'm just gonna go talk to my friend Jacey-Lynne, who I know is voting for me. Like that's literally all she did. I was like, you are not a good player. Like you need to understand how the house reads you, and how they read the other person on the block. And like I get like so this happens a lot in Big Brother, where like somebody gets on the block beside a so-called perceived threat, and then they think they can just shut their mouth and coast to eviction night, and then they'll be good, and usually they go home. Like
Yep.
that's usually what happens. That's kind of what we saw here tonight, I thought.
It's a simple explanation for it. So simple. What can you offer me as a player? You're just a number, right? Josh is a person who can win and is a number. So what are you bringing to the table? Are you more loyal than Josh? I don't think so. I think Josh is more loyal than you are, right? We saw it last week. So once again, what are you bringing to the table? You're not talking strategy, right? You can't win, seemingly, from what I see. You have the same track record as Betty, okay, but less of the spaz, right? So once again, what are you bringing to the table? Right? You're not talking strategy. You're not going to be able to win, and you are holed up talking with the people that you like. No, thank you. I don't need that.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that's why she went home. I think she had very little self awareness of how she came across in that house, and I think she just thought like she, w- get in the big alliance and coast. And like that's what I've loved about this season is that the big alliance got destroyed immediately, and now we get to kind of see all these different chess pieces have to be picked up by different players. And like even tonight, like I haven't buried the lead yet, but like Gino wins the HOH here at the end. And like, I think that's super fascinating because now Kyle's most likely safe unless everyone just like, you want to put Kyle up, and that might happen too. But it'd be interesting if Kyle doesn't go up this, this week, and to see kind of what happens in this house, because I'm fascinated to see kind of how Gino and Jacey-Lynne are gonna have to navigate this house together with everyone hating on Kyle. And do they stick with Kyle? Do they go? What does Marty do now that he kind of turned on the alliance and voted the other way? So like, is Gino going to really trust Marty and by proxy Kevin? I don't know. I'm kind of interested to find out actually, because this is the one season of Big Brother I've seen in a long time where this big alliance isn't kept secret, and I like that. I think that's better. And I think Amanda was saying that this is the first time in Big Brother where we've had a different winner of the first 9 competitions in a row or something like that have been all different winners, and that's very rare. So that, and this is what you get. You get this very all over the place strategic play, because one group can't control when 9 different players are winning, different competitions.
You know what? I think this week is going to be a very smooth week. I don't think Gino suffers fools at all. He seems like he has a very good head on his shoulders. Isn't too erratic, minus his his delve into a showman's, mind you. But the thing that I'm looking to see exactly is, and I haven't actually picked up on this at all, is he aware of where the votes were prior to the eviction? Because we know Stephanie didn't know, right?
I don't think Gino or Jacey-Lynne knew.
Oof.
Because of their reactions. They were pretty stunned, and they showed it. By the way, once again, okay, Jaemeel, did you notice during their speeches, what the hell was that music? Why was it so loud? I could barely hear their speeches.
That was an audio technical issue for sure.
Why is there music at all? I don't get it. That was a big blunder, in my opinion. If I'm a producer, that was brutal.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily want that at all. The main focus should be their voices, should be their explanation, and I feel like we were kind of cheated. That being said, once they started to shout out, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Or at least weave it into your statement a little bit better, like Josh did. Right. Don't be lazy. Like, hey, like.
Right.
No, I don't need that. We got some comments in the comment section.
Yep. Okay, here, I'll put them up. So we have Sam saying #blindside. Yeah, I mean, 3 people didn't see it coming. I don't know. I think maybe 4, because I don't know if Kyle saw it coming either. I think he thought things were going to go his way on this vote as well. We have Jody Simpson saying #moose. Moose. Yes. We also have Jaemeel. Jody has a question. No, he's saying you're going down on Trivial Debates. I think you're both going down. I think Worf, son of Moog, is the early front runner.
I'm gonna strip him of his honor. I'm gonna strip this.
Sam Higgins says, at Jody Simpson, you watch Big Brother? And then Jody says, no, just razzing Jaemeel. And Sam then said, oh. And then Sam asks, who do you think will be the first female HOH? I think Jacey-Lynne will win it at some point.
Not Betty.
Not Betty. It'll be Jacey-Lynne or Jess. I think those are the 2.
If Betty
almost won the HOH tonight.
If Betty wins HOH, they're gonna have to medevac her out of the thing, because she looks like she's a ball of nerves. She's like,
yeah. When she was stepping up and down on those steps, it was like I wasn't sure she was gonna pass out. I was a little concerned for her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's an interesting character in this house and on this TV show. Like, she's just
all over the place.
She's all over the place and not very rootable. I don't find her endearing. So it's tough, because she is kind of a good TV personality, but at the same time, she's kind of like a mess, a hot mess.
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of cheer for her, because she is an underdog. That's no doubt about that. And usually underdogs are easy to cheer for, but she's kind of like, her and Kevin, I find the same way. They're both underdogs, but they're not very endearing, and you don't really get I really want to go for these people.
Which is
Oh,
interesting that people would say that about Jessica in the first week, and she's
mhm.
found a way to really, get herself into other people's heart. I'm cheering for Jessica.
Me too.
really want Jessica to go far. I
Me too.
like the way that she's playing, where you know, and she seemed kind of cold and calculating, but the great thing about it is you start seeing the emotional heart side of it too, and her mind at play as well. So I'm pulling for her. I wish her well. She's not, my two picks. I don't know how mine are gonna do in this game. I think they might just accidentally slip on a banana peel and win, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Sam says JC is a competitive figure skater, and people who do individual sports can do it well under pressure. I would know. He does taekwondo. He also knows how to rhyme. Sam, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think Jacey-Lynne is going to win if she sticks with Gino too. Like if her, Gino, and Kyle can kind of stick together, and they can kind of run the table a little bit in the HOH. I don't see a lot of people beating those three. I think they're kind of a powerhouse alliance if they can stick together. Now, whether or not they can do that, I'm not sure because everyone wants Kyle out.
The biggest problem is what happens when Gino is in HOH, because
Right.
if we haven't seen JC in a power position making decisions, but we've already seen Kyle, and it hasn't been the sample size isn't good. It isn't a good sample size, right? He I don't know how you can trust this man in general. Trust this man that if he gets any power, that he will do what's best um, in your interests as a teammate, as an alignment
Are you talking about
person.
Kyle?
Kyle, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know if you can trust him.
Well, I mean, even if you're a Gino,
But it's you can trust that he won't put you up, yes. But can you trust that he won't do something that will just mess up your game?
I mean, I think he didn't really mess up Gino's game with everything he did, and it was a lot. He kind of just messed his own game up and his alliances.
Gino had to do less work in the 7 than he has
Right.
to do now.
Yes.
Because in the 7, at the very least, people knew Gino was there. He had great relationships, but he wasn't like an active member of the 7. He was a high ranking. He's what we would call Dean Martin in the Rat Pack, right? Frank made all the plans and made all the deals. Sammy did the dancing. Dean drank and stayed by the bar. He was Dean, right? Kyle
Yeah.
was Frank, and
Right.
Marty in some cases was Sam Davis Jr. tap dancing all over the place.
Hmm. Yeah, I think, but now is the time for that Rat Pack to break up. Like, because Sam's asking, like, will Gino nominate Kyle? Like, is that a possibility?
I think it's a bad decision.
I think so too. I think who should Gino nominate? That's a good question here.
Jessica and Kevin, because you want to put someone on the technically the other side of the house that people do not feel strongly about, right? Too
Mhm.
many people feel a certain way about Summer, about T, about Josh, as we just saw. People like Jessica, but are they willing to go out of their way for Jessica? Right? Same thing with Kevin, right? When you put it on Jessica and Kevin, you kind of motivate yourself to go, I don't really want to win the veto, or have the veto change hands, because chances are it's going to be one of the people on my side, and I can give up Jessica, I can give up Kevin, I don't want to give up T, I don't want to give up Summer, I don't want to give up, like, these people that I have a closer bond with.
Okay, that's a good point. But like, I see what you're saying. Like, do the easy HOH. Don't piss off the house. You already did that last week with Kyle. But
Stable.
I think there's another move to be made here with Gino. I think there's a chance where he should probably. If I were him, I would put up Moose and Herman.
I think you could get away with Moose.
Hmm.
Once again, too many people care about Haman.
Yeah, maybe not Herman. Okay, but Moose, and then like maybe someone like Helena, you know.
Once again, I think people care too much about Helena. Like, okay, the reason why I think this week needs to be a stable week is because you're hoping that someone on your side wins next week. I think next week is more important than this week, right? Because if you have you want the dust to settle, right? So that you can work on getting people onto your side, right? The reason why everything's all over the place and uh, is because of just the constant movement of choices where it just seems like a roulette, right? Gino is going to have those conversations. He is a good conversationalist. He's personable. People will talk with him and make deals, right? Next week, whoever wins, I don't think they're putting up Gino. So that's good news for Gino. Kyle will most likely be given a shot if it's a
Right.
certain person.
Right.
So one, you're kind of protected that way, and then two, if let's say someone on your side, JC wins, you can start making movements because one, you've taken another piece off the board. Two, you've made deals, right? And then you can proceed to start taking the side of the other side of the house because you've just now taken three votes out of the equation because the one person you did this week and then the two people that you put up next week.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it because, like, I think Gino's ride or die is Jacey-Lynne. We saw them making out tonight, so I think they're more together than Gino is with Kyle, which Kyle's ride or die in his mind is Gino. So I think Kyle's expendable to Gino eventually.
Yeah. So, like, if next week, if he doesn't have power, he's already made the deals. Kyle's going to be the target. If he loses Kyle, he's like, well, you all were right. Kyle was shady, and he paid the price. I
Mhm.
didn't put you all up last week, so
Yeah, he could definitely have a good week that way, and maybe you're right. Maybe that's what he should do.
But seeing this house and people choosing violence, it seems, is the best response. Like, we have not had a week where the veto isn't played and someone's not taken off the block, right? We've had three nominees every week. It's crazy.
It is
I hope
crazy.
there's no safety this week, please. No Bell Direct, safety, none of that. Or they
Yeah,
wasted on someone like Betty.
Betty. Oh, Betty. She's something else. She's a lot of fun, but man, um, she's her whole scene tonight with Kevin was just like, oh my god, you're a little over dramatic. Yeah.
But she like, I understood what Kevin was asking, but it was like Kevin was asking way too much for her comprehension because she told like the leap she took. I'm surprised she didn't pull a Melissa with the amount of stretching she did with what he
Yeah.
said. It's
Right.
like, I want you to hate me because it's gonna work out best for what you want me. You're telling me what to do for my game? Like, who are you? And you're saying that it's in my best interest to hate you? And it's like, what? Like, it's just madness.
Right.
And then it's just like, you said I was a bad person. It's like you are. And it's like, well, if you're coming after me, I'm coming after you. Wait, how dare you say you're
How
coming after me?
dare you?
It's like, wait, it's
You
like
just said
you just
you just said you hated him.
and yes, it's just it's she said she didn't just say that she hated him. She said that he was shady and she was going to expose him to the entire house. Of course he's going to come after you if that's the case. Like, it's just it's it's like, wow, you certainly did not cast her for her strategic mind. Like,
No,
oh,
she was
at
cast.
least Summer seemingly is,
Mhm.
making sense in her moves. She's a
Right.
little bit too extra all the time for
Right.
everything,
Law extra.
right? But at the very least, she's on the right track of what she's supposed to do.
Yeah, I feel like she'll do okay up until a point, and then it won't be okay anymore. But yeah, she can at least navigate the house. I don't feel like Betty can navigate the house whatsoever. And Kevin kind of can't either. Like he can kind of just navigate Marty, it seems like so far. And Marty's relationship with Kevin is a strange one because like I feel like Marty likes to use Kevin as like this like agent of chaos that goes and gets him info, but at the same time he can't really trust all that info or like the narrative of the info because Kevin's very emotional. He has a lot of emotional takes on everything that's going on. Like when his eyes lit up on the whole, oh, let's keep Josh and vote out Stephanie. Like he must have not liked Stephanie or something, and he was very upset with the whole Kyle. Gino alliance from the beginning.
Yeah.
And he didn't really want to be involved with those guys.
I think he knew that he wouldn't even be a third, right? And that was, he's like, no, I can't have that type of secure relationship going on in the house, and therefore, it has to end. I have to do what I can, because Marty would be the third, obviously, and then he would be the fourth, and there isn't a clear path for him. So hoping to take Marty with him, and then working themselves as another group, from side to side, I think is his perspective. I just Kevin, the way that Kevin is playing, I feel like if Kevin was like straight up with even just a small group of people, like if he was straight up with Kyle and got on Kyle's side from the very beginning, he could have at the very least. Is that like whiskey?
Rum.
Rum.
St. Patty's. I'm out of beer.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Sorry for just sidetracking my own conversation, my statement.
No, go ahead.
I just feel like he could have been Kyle's right hand man, and would have been appreciated as such. It could have kept Kyle on the right path, but he had to play this whimsical game of subterfuge that just seems so unnecessary, and everyone can see through it. Like I'm seeing it right now. Kevin is not winning this game.
No.
There's no way that they will let this dude, who I think majority of the people have referred to him as like a weasel, get near the end.
That is the animal he resembles in the animal kingdom.
He does.
I think he's not winning. Betty's not winning. Kyle's not winning.
Yeah.
Those three players, I think I'm going out on a limb and saying they ain't winning this game.
I don't think it's much of a limb, but yeah. And okay, so people will be like, Jaemeel, well, what's with your Moose love? Right?
Right. Not a fan
Moose,
of Moose.
right? For all the insanity that this man does, at the very least, is wise enough to know where the edge is and to step back.
He's also he's very good at competitions.
Yeah. Kyle, on the other hand, right? He was like Wile E. Coyote. He chased after the Roadrunner over the ledge and kept running. Right?
The Moose Runner.
The Moose. And then like you look down and then plummeted. That's Kyle's game.
It is yeah. Kyle, not a good HOH. A lot of messy mistakes, and he kind of had the right idea at first and then completely botched it.
Yeah,
completely botched.
It could have been a simple vote out for Moose.
Yes, it could have been.
So
he could have played it right, and that's the whole thing about Big Brother is you don't make the whole house. You don't make it all public, and you don't you have to do back channel conversations. You have to.
Yeah. Why would you have Stephanie and Moose in the same room to have that conversation?
Yeah, that was a mistake too.
Sam has a question.
Yeah, he says, do you think Marty could rebuild trust with Kyle and Gino?
Sure. Marty is a genuine dude, right? And people know that he's genuine. He just goes back and forth in terms of where his mind is at. But when you have conversations, you see those conversations that he has. He kind of he's humble in this conversation the way he talks, right? And people appreciate it. You see how Josh appreciates it, right? You see how even Kevin appreciates it. Kevin like converses with him and he feels like I have Marty, and that's Marty's skill. Marty has gets people to believe that they have him, right? So definitely, I think he can build trust. Next question from Sam.
Which one? I
Latest
don't have one.
one. I thought it's. Do you
This
think
one?
Marty? Oh, sorry, that was the actual one. You're right. No, I don't think he would.
I don't think he'll nominate Kyle either. I asked it earlier, but like I think Gino, if he's smart, will do the right thing and use Kyle as a shield. And you don't waste that bullet on your HOH.
Yep. People are still angry.
Yeah. What else am I missing from this episode? Josh in general. I think Marty and Josh could end up working together. That you could see that too, because we had that conversation. And I think they were both pretty genuine toward each other. And Marty didn't have to tell him that he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna," he threw him under the bus like literally the day before.
Yeah.
And it's telling him the truth, and that could totally come back to bite Marty. But they kind of,
I don't think so.
It didn't seem to. Like I was surprised. I was like, "Oh, okay." Josh is. If he had done that with Moose, Moose would have lost his mind and would have been like, "Marty, he's gotta go."
I think once again, you can tell when people are in sync with each other. Josh and Marty are in sync with each other, and they were able to have that kind of conversation where they're on the same wavelength and they understand what exactly is stating. And past conversations and past transgressions don't necessarily matter, right? You even see it when you see the difference between when other people talk, like when Tanisha was talking with Summer and shoot, I still haven't learned everyone's names. She's so low key. Haresh? No, not Haresh. It starts with the H. Sorry.
Oh, Helena.
Helena. Jeez, I will get it soon, folks. Helena, right? That conversation could have been better. It was still pretty good, but you see the difference in terms of the way people converse, right? And Josh and Marty, that is a duo I think that can do some major damage, right? Very late in the game if they keep their wits about themselves. I think that could be the best pair in the game.
They both said like, "Hey, well, at least one." I think Josh said, "I'd like to sit with him at the end." So like, yeah, that could be a ride or die, like a little sneaky ride or die that ends up occurring. Everyone seems to want to work with Marty, and I think that's a pretty good darn draft pick by yours truly, Marty.
I look, I praised you on that pick. I don't think I've said anything negative outside of doing a little backtracking during his HOH. But even then, like, who's angry at him now?
No,
Betty?
yeah, he's made a lot of mistakes, but like recovers very, very well, which is a good sign of a good Big Brother player or Survivor player or any of these games.
It's because he's genuine.
Yeah, it's because he's genuine, and it's because he's he doesn't see the need to be fake, in any way in the game or in life or in just conversation. I feel like that's kind of like why we saw someone like Stephanie go out here tonight. I think that's why Josh kind of got through, because like I think people view a few people in this house as like they're not trustworthy. I think Kyle's one of them, Stephanie was one of them, I think Betty's one of them, Kevin, like they're all kind of like playing a persona way too much, and they kind of need to like kind of relax a bit and kind of understand like this is a social game. Yes, it's a TV show, but at the core of it, it's a social game. And that's really how you win the game, is to understand that it's a social maneuver. And you can't, be the most entertaining. You can, but you can't have that as your sole focus. You really need to understand that the interconnections that you have with people and how you come across is the most important thing. Yeah. So also with this house, like there are certain players that I thought was interesting tonight that we're like, oh, so pissed off that Josh was even on the block. Um, and so I kind of thought to myself, well, then they don't care that Stephanie's on the block at all. Like the only person that cared was Jacey-Lynne. That was really, and Gino sorta.
Yeah.
And only Gino cared because he thought the plan was going to work, and he wasn't ever, he wasn't filled in. Jacey-Lynne was friends with Stephanie.
Yep.
But yeah, to watch Stephanie come out of the door and like, also I loved the Arissa Cox like fake out on her, where it's like a 9-2 vote. Josh, you were safe. Stephanie, you're like,
wow. And then she tried to be profound in her, like, everyone needs to understand that something's going on here. It's like everyone knows. Everyone voted for you to be God, okay? Except these two people. It's not like people didn't know.
Arissa had the best line. Oh, I can't wait till you watch this back.
Which is what, like, you kind of wish that in the time that it takes for them to get out of the house to when they get on that stage, that they get like all that information stuffed into their head, and you just see their demeanor change, because her demeanor would straight up change, right? Yes. She wouldn't have that smile on her face when she's coming out.
That's very true. Yeah. Like, and the fact that she didn't know it was coming, like, oh, those guys, they're good liars. They're, it's like, you didn't even talk to anyone except your friend. It seemed like I don't think they really had to try very hard to lie to you. Like, it's like you made it easy for them to vote you out. And like, this is the thing with Stephanie, that, you didn't play well.
Who was leading the charge, right? Like, where was the checking in, right? She had Kyle kind of leading the charge in terms of the numbers. Like, where were you? Where were all the scenes where Stephanie was checking in and checking with people to make sure that her votes were secure? It was like, oh, we're good. I got my votes, so why wouldn't they take me? Like,
yeah, why wouldn't they? Yeah, maybe because you didn't do anything. Overall, the episode was good, but I'm excited to see kind of like what happens next. Like, I think I wanted a little bit more Kyle in this episode. I wanted to see kind of where his head was at, but they didn't really show it, so we'll have to. I guess we'll have to wait till the next episode for that. Am I missing anything from this episode? Have we
no, it was. I think it was a pretty well cut video of episode in terms of like. It seemed like it went pretty fast. I'm not a big fan of that type of HOH. It seemed a little slow.
Right.
Plus, I wished it was like, here are the items in today's HOH challenge earlier in the thing, so we can kind of play along. Right. It wasn't until after we would see it. Like, if it was based upon something like before or after, in terms of like things in the house, we can say, oh, I remember that, and play along. But when you don't know if it's higher or lower yourselves, so you're just hoping that they got it right at the end. It isn't a fun HOH. You can't really play along per se. But other than that, and it ends. I like that too. Just ends.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Yeah, it just ends. I thought certain players were going to do better in that HOH. I thought Herman going up first was kind of funny because he's Mr. Salesman.
I'm going hard. I'm going hard in this HOH. Jeez.
Yeah, first out. Nobody. He was the only one who got it wrong on the first question.
It's like, dude, Betty lasted longer than.
It was like, no, it was like, dude, you thought a teddy bear was worth $100? Like that was like, and then the prices were all crazy, but that was like, $100. Like, I was like, he was way off. It was like $20 or something. So he wasn't even close. Neither was the question, I guess, but it was interesting that they got that so wrong. He did. Yeah. So like overall, enjoyed the episode. But we have to move on to the next week. I'm interested to see the Gino HOH. I think it'll be a good, interesting week because nobody's going to get what they want, and that's I always enjoy those weeks, Jaemeel, on Big Brother, where nobody gets what they want.
No one gets what they want, so they have to fight to get what they need.
Yeah, and that's and then the real true players kind of emerge out of that, which is
and those two soft, they'll cry and complain and hit the block and then eventually go out.
yeah. Okay.
See, nice and simple, nice bow. I think we covered everything.
Yes. Sam has a question here for you, Jaemeel. Is Gino a Jed or a tie?
Or tie.
When people target him.
That's a very good question. Jedson is the one who won, right?
Right. And
Jed, he's a Jed. He's a Jed. I don't think he would put his romance ahead of the game at all.
But Jacey-Lynne would.
Oh, Jacey-Lynne definitely would.
Right.
Yes. That's the impression I get from her. Stephanie was so thirsty. I'm surprised it didn't show any of that. How she was like throwing herself at people.
Who was she throwing herself at?
Gino originally.
Gino originally didn't work out.
Yeah, like I kind of mentioned it during an episode where she's like, "So, what kind of girls you like?" And he's like, girls you like, aren't, who play it like kind of cool. It's like, yeah, I like to play it cool, Now it just seems so reek of desperation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why like Gino wanted, and originally at the beginning of this week, Gino wanted Stephanie out because he did not want her in jury.
Which I guess it kind of lucked out for him. So
yeah. Because it would be awkward when, JC, let's say he and JC is there and then Stephanie's also there. Right? She would have to split her time. So
yeah, no, for sure. She was I think we got as much Stephanie as we needed.
Yep, I'm done.
I was happy that she left. I was glad that was the end of her, because I don't think she was bringing much to the show. Like, I think even Jacey-Lynne, like I picked her, I don't think she's gonna bring much to the show. I think
if Gino gets eliminated early, I think she'll be able to find her footing and do well.
Yeah, maybe.
She needs that motivation to really push herself out there.
I gotta win this for Gino. Just like Gina Marie had to win it for Nick.
Nick's poolside with another girl.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. In a couple of weeks we'll like, who got eliminated this week? And we won't remember.
I think you're probably right about that.
Do you remember who the first person was eliminated?
Oh God. It was a girl. That's such a good question. Oh, wasn't it? Oh yeah, it was Melina.
Yes. But it took a while.
Took a while. And who got voted out second?
Jay,
right.
Yes.
So yeah. What do all three of these players have in common?
I think Jay was the only one that really could have done something.
Mm-hmm.
Like Melina had trouble adjusting.
Yes.
Right? And then at the same time, like Stephanie couldn't, she was not integrated enough in the house. Yeah. Right? Ultimately, you could have a side of the house, but you learn, especially from this week, you need to make sure you have ties to the other side of the house. Right? Helena has that, both sides. Herman has that. Summer has that. Tanisha has that. Kyle even has that. Kevin even has that. Josh has that. Marty has that. All these people have ties to both sides of the house. Who doesn't have ties to both sides of the house? Stephanie.
Kevin.
Jacey-Lynne. Well, Kevin has ties to both sides of the house, but he's cutting a lot of those ties with the Betty work that he's putting in.
Right.
Right? So you're seeing these people with minimal ties to the side of the house. You're expendable. You're going to be gone.
Yes. I mean, that is a great point, Jaemeel, because I think a lot of times people watch Big Brother and they're like, well, why was that person targeted? And I think the answer to that is the expendable like aspect. Like, oh, well, like, like I really don't need you later on. So I might as well get rid of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what happens a lot of the time. And it's either that or, oh, they're a big target. We got to get them out. And we had tonight one of each on the block. We had the Stephanie, don't really need you, and so might as well get rid of you. You're expendable. And then Josh, who was a big threat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's what we saw tonight on that. Okay, I think we got 45 minutes. I think that we've said what we needed to say here about Big Brother Canada 10 for this week 3 eviction episode, but we do have some other shows to plug before we sign off for the night. So we do have here on Super Mader Bros Podcasting on Wednesdays we cover Survivor. So tune in for that. We are we're moving on to episode 3 next week.
Will Jaemeel lose another a member of his team in the draft?
I say
Stay
yes.
tuned. That's looking like it.
I think it's gonna go that way. You're gonna lose all 3, then Daryl will lose all 3, then Dave will lose all 3, and then I will end up with the final 3. Is what's gonna end up happening.
Could happen.
Or the final 2. I only have 2 players, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen. Also on Super Mader Bros Podcasting, we cover all sorts of different shows that are reality TV. We also do, some scripted TV. We're doing Ozark, which is coming out at the end of April. We'll be covering that. We're doing some Marvel stuff. Moon Knight, we'll be covering that. Jaemeel, am I missing any of the Marvel stuff?
Not anything until we have Moon Knight and Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness, we'll be covering that.
Yeah.
So that's what we do over on Super Mader Bros Podcasting. If you're interested in those things, we also have a Star Trek only channel which is called Live Long, a podcast where we cover all sorts of different shows. Where it's just where my brother is right now, Dave Mader, the other Super Mader bro. He is covering right now, I believe it is Star Trek Discovery. It was the finale this week, and also doing double duty covering Star Trek Picard. So checking that out as well. So they're covering that. We'll also do Enterprise at 8, which is on Mondays. So tune in for that. And we also cover D6 9 at 9ish, which is on Tuesday nights. Yes. Which I host that one.
Yes. Next episode is The Rapture.
The Rapture. Cisco is going crazy. He's very prophetic about an obelisk in the middle of the station, and it's all about Bajor.
Yeah.
So it's good.
All right. Trivial debates.
Right, we have trivial debates. We have a very exciting trivial debates coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend, right? And it is hosted by Max Duda, and Jaemeel is going to be competing against Jody Simpson and also Worf, son of Moog. I think what, Jaemeel, you're the reigning champ. I gave you that crown last month. I think it is yours to defend, but you have some tough competition.
Well, like Sandra Diaz said, and the queen stays queen. Not calling myself a queen, but the statement of royalty staying royalty. Bow, peasants, bow.
Well, Parvati probably should have won.
Well, she said that to I think it was she said that when they eliminated what's his name? Lord, why can't I remember his name?
Was it Colby?
No. They eliminated not Russell Hanson. I'm gonna talk llama to you right now.
Oh, Tony.
Yeah, when they eliminated Tony from was it Game Changers?
Yeah.
She said that, and the queen stays queen.
And the queen, yes, she did say that again. So she said that at the reunion, though, when she won, I believe. That's why it was like I thought you were talking about Heroes Villains, because when she won Heroes Villains, it was at the reunion show.
Yeah,
and that's when Russell Hand said it was like Poverty should have won, and that's what she was like, the queen stays queen, and everyone so because he got that jab in. So that's Trivial Debates. We also have some friends who do some podcasts. We have, my nephew, Eamon Mader, under the alias Sam Jerka. He has a podcast called Let's Talk About Fighting Games with his two friends, Supersonic Smash Bros. Seth.
Isn't it Super Smash Brother Seth?
No, it's Supersonic Smash Brother Seth. Something like that.
And Persona?
Paranoia. And Paranoia, they, apparently they have also. I haven't listened to it, but I know it's good. So check that out.
Yeah, the name of the podcast is Let's Talk About Fighting Games.
Let's talk about fighting games. We plug that show more than any other over here, and hopefully they gain some traffic because of it. But we also have some friends, Locutors of Trek, which is David Skullhorn's podcast. He covers all sorts of Star Trek related topics with his friend Dave. They go into the philosophy of Star Trek, talk about all sorts of different ideas of Star Trek, a lot of Deep Space Nine. I don't know every single one of the topics that they cover, but I do know that it is very in depth and very philosophical and interesting. They also do. I was a part of. I think you were too, Jaemeel.
Not yet. I have not. I've yet to compete.
You've yet to compete on Debate 9.
Debate 9. I haven't.
I'm a champion of Debate 9. I will have you know, and with Debate 9, you got to be fast. You got like 30 seconds. It's not like Trivial Debates. It's actually like less than 30 seconds. It's fast. You gotta get those points out quick. So get ready for some rapid fire. So yeah, we have that. He also does what's it called? It's called X-Rated. You were also on that show, Jaemeel.
I was on X-Rated, where we did it was part 2 of the premiere of the second season, and next week episode, which is on Tuesdays at 7:00, is going to be Pride of the X-Men. They're going back. They're taking a pause from the X-Men, the animated series, to do the original X-Men animated pilot, Pride of the X-Men. So you'll get, one of the best Jewish superheroes, introduction of one of the best Jewish superheroes, Kitty Pryde, and you'll get Australian Wolverine before Hugh Jackman was Wolverine.
That's pretty great. We also have friend of the show, Steve Shives. Check out his channel over on YouTube. He's been on this program, well, not this program, but Tuesdays 99ish, and also Star Trek Radio Theater. So if go check out his YouTube channel. He has all sorts of great stuff over there. And am I missing anybody, Jaemeel?
Michael Chan's horror podcast.
Right. Discovery Zone, Star Trek Discovery Zone. He was just in tonight's episode. So you have to check that out. He makes an appearance. He's one of our mainstays on Star Trek Radio Theater, and he's also got his own podcast. He's also got another podcast called Talking with Their Mouths Full. Yes. Right?
Yeah. Talking with Your Mouths Full. I've been on that podcast. You could look up that episode. It was a great one. He has a horror podcast as well, and that's called, I don't remember it. I feel so bad that I can't remember it. We have a lot of plugs, folks.
It's a lot of plugs. It's a lot to remember.
A lot of plugs.
But we will, watch one of our other channels, those shows, and you'll get to the end, and we mentioned it there.
Flip over to Live Long and Podcast right after we finish this one, because they'll probably still be going on, and say that we sent you, one, and two.
Yes.
Listen to the plugs there, because they'll definitely provide all of it.
Yeah, Dave has it all written out. Not us, not so much. We run by a little seat of our pants over here, but we love it at the same time, because we're covering Big Brother. It's Moose. Okay, so I think that's it here for Big Brother Canada 10 week 3. We will check in probably next week for the next eviction. We might do one in between. It depends if it gets good. We kind of
time permitting. It's kind of tough too.
It's tough, and it's 3 episodes a week. We got lives. I have a little baby. There's things to do. But at the same time, I love covering the show. It is interesting. I love talking about it. But for this St. Paddy's Day, I have been your host, Jeff Mader, Jaemeel Robinson. We say, expect the expected.
No, no music to play us out. No, none of this.
No moose.
You want to do moose?
I want to do moose.